It'd be hard to bring a team down from the high that they experience after a game like that, or is this team, do you think, pretty adept at doing that?
Well, if you're going to be consistent, yeah, I mean, if you're going to be consistent, you have to. I mean, the thing is, our focus needs to just be on improving and getting better. And, really the team we're playing this week is just as good as the team we played last week. So, we gotta be at our best, and we gotta improve. And, otherwise you're just trading one for another,
You guys took last night off. Is it kind of important to take some rest days here as you guys kind of get into the slog of the season here?
Well, that's kind of how we've done it in the past. The Friday schedule disrupted all that a week ago. We try to. Some of the Sundays are off in order to freshen up.
Eric Hall was a Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week. Do you see him being maybe more confident this year, possibly raising him more consistent, and I think he's only missed the one field goal?
Well, he's got a real strong leg, and then he kicks off besides, and then he punts some. And so he's like the most versatile kicker in the conference, I think, really is. As far as all the different roles he plays. So he's done some good things. He's gotten better and better. He's because he really does have a pretty strong leg.
How impressed are you just with Powell throughout his career? Because when it started off, he's had some rocky points, and I know for kickers it could be turbulent times. You can get sucked into that hole, but he seemed to just climb himself out, and he's been very steady this entire season.
Yeah, I thought he definitely kind of emerged out. He's real inconsistent when he got here, and then just got better and better. I think part of it is just him relaxing. I think he could already do it, but sometimes people put more pressure on themselves than they need to.
Do you think him also kicking off and punting and kicking field goals kind of takes pressure off his mind, that he's just not focused?
No, I think that's harder to do. And I think that's what makes it impressive that he does it, and some of these and most others don't. One, he's got the talent to do it, but I think that's more difficult. And then the other thing, if you think about kicking, you got to flex Achilles tendon, and punting, you got a collapsed one. So they're quite different activities in a way if you think about it that way too.
You said the team you're playing this week is just as good as the one you played last week. What is it about Oregon that impresses you so much?
Well, they're real fast. And they've stacked one top recruiting class on top of the next, and and we've played them well the last couple of years too. So, but that doesn't change how talented they are and what they're capable of, and they've got some really good players there.
So thinking about Oregon a little bit more, 2015, they're in the national championship game. Then less than 2 weeks later, or 2 years later, they fire their coach. Just from your perspective, what happened?
It's pretty irrelevant at this point. That's all news a year ago or whatever. But I think that they just got impatient and stuff like that. They won a bunch of games and thought it was easy and anybody could do it.
Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Taggart personally, or at least speak with him since he was hired in December?
Yeah, I talked to him off and on a couple times, just at conference deals.
When you take over a program coming off of a rough year like Oregon was, what do you think the biggest challenge is that someone like Coach Taggart is facing in his position right now?
Well, he starts out with really, really good players, so that eliminates one of them. But I think just getting everybody on the same page, the same message, is the big challenge.
I've been able to talk with Coach Joe, and is it awkward, or do you guys worry that he knows your system more? How does that work when a coach leaves and you have to play him the next season?
It really doesn't. We wish him the best. We wish him the best. We know what his guys do just as well as he knows what we do, I guess. Plus, they have every film of every game we've ever played nowadays, so I don't think it makes any difference.
How would you assess his defensive line 5 games in?
Well, I think they're pretty good. I think ours is pretty good too, though. So I don't feel like we lost anything. I think He's a great coach, great person, and we liked him, and felt like he was part of the family and all that. But I think I think Jeff and our D line has done a good job this year, and will continue to.
What did you notice from Coach Phelps in just fall camp, with it being his first time with you guys, and how he coached his D line? What were you impressed with?
Yeah, he's a really good technician. Really insistent on what he wants. A really good technician, very smart guy, demanding of his players, and ultimately got out of it. Got out of him what he wanted. He's got those guys playing about as high as he is tall. So I think you get those guys down there with good pad level running their feet. I think they're tough to stop.
Seems like the rotation has been effective too.
Yeah, well, there's some different packages and things, and some of that's to feature the talents of other people. Some of that is, in some cases you got your packages and you can go out there and explode into them, and they know when they're ready to go.
Is a team usually like better defensive line wise at pass rushing, and then maybe they might be weaker at stopping the run? It just seems like the current D line is doing both very well right now.
I don't know. The better you run to the ball, the better you'll be at either one of them. Sometimes, but I feel like I feel like we're reasonably tough at either one of them.
Can you talk a little bit about Jihad Wood's performance? Second game, starting as a redshirt freshman, and he's defensive Pac-12 Player of the Week.
Yeah, he's a real physical guy, and he's more physical than you'd think. Very quiet. He's always just hit a ton. If he hits something, it just flies, and I think that's just something natural he's able to do, because there's guys bigger than him that can't hit things and make it move as dramatically as Jihad can. And then he's always been kind of a smart kid as far as where he lines up and what he does, and because he started out when he first got here kind of a really tuned in guy, and so we wondered how long it would last, because sometimes that fades and it starts out one way and then diminishes a little, and with him it never really did. And then of course then going into this year, he had a really good camp, and then he just got better and better and better in camp. And he hasn't really hadn't missed a beat, and and he's just kind of quietly does his job, and of course had the big hit at a very key time in this game, so that was helpful.
And after playing 5 games at home, you're heading into one of the loudest stadiums in college football, Knoxon Stadium. Is there anything you guys can do in practice to kind of imitate that?
Well, we practice with the noise on Thursday. We have a lot of nonverbal communication stuff that we work on all the time. And in loud stadiums, communication's the biggest issue. So I think you try to shore that up the most that you can.
Is it weird going on the road for the first time in the beginning of October?
Yeah, a little bit. I think everybody's kind of anxious for it, though, at this point, and looking forward to it. I think everybody's looking forward to going on the road. And this is a funny conference. Teams on the road play well,
And then also, just with the defense, how much has the success been attributed to the new talent that's come in over your tenure here, but also Alex Grinch and the philosophy that he's installed here, and what he's done with the players he's had?
Well, I think both, I think all the above. I think we've gotten better players. I think over time we've logged reps into some quality guys, and then I think, Alex does a good job running the defense, and I think as he becomes more experienced as a defensive coordinator, he steadily improves, and I think that shows. And then I think that it all works together, really. It's all kind of combined.
You've been pleasantly surprised with the play of your 3 freshman wide receivers, Tate Martin, Jameer Calvin, and Renard Bell.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they have a long ways to go, but they've done some good things. I think that, in some cases we had a little stage fright last game, but, I think they're quality players, and I think that they're going to be really good, and they're going to be names that people are going to talk about for a long time. I think that, but I do think they have a long ways to improve, and we have to improve as much as we can this week to be ready for the challenge.
Are you liking Tay at the Z?
What's that?
Are you liking Tay at the Z?
He plays really hard. He hustles really hard. I didn't think he had a particularly good game last game, but I think he's going to, and I think part of it is just we got to break him in the best we can. And but he's real explosive. He plays really hard when the ball's in the air. He usually does a pretty good job. I think he's really going to be a good player. He's extremely talented. So.
Are you going to flop him back and forth, or?
I don't know. We've been doing some of that. Because we kind of need a swing guy, which puts a little extra strain on him since he's a freshman. And, it may be kind of what we're up against. It's not the best deal, though. I mean, that's not ideal. And I'm not a huge fan of flopping guys anyway, but, you got to do what you got to do to a point.
What about guys like Patman and CJ Dillon, as well as Brendan Arcanato, guys that are lower on the depth chart but still coming in and getting reps? How have they played when they are out there?
I think they're works in progress. I think they're all works in progress, and whoever you like best out there, I think, is a work in progress too. But I think that, I think those guys, can contribute more, and I think that, we have to continue to coach them and get it out of them,
And going back to the USC game, walking into the locker room after that win, what is that kind of what you live for as a coach, or what are those moments kind of like for you?
Yeah, it's good. You're on to the next one pretty quick. In games are a lot of fun to coach. There's no question about it. But you're on to the next one pretty quick. I always kind of view the season of weeks of increments of improvement. You try to get better each week, and you better get your increment that week, or you're not going to be real good. And I thought we did get better, and I thought we did. I thought we played extremely hard. Watching the film, we played plenty sloppy at times, but we played hard, and there were things that we did sloppy and we made right just because of effort on our part. And and we overcame quite a lot of adversity because some games the ball doesn't bounce your direction. In the first half, it didn't bounce our direction at all, and we overcame that. And then the second half, we did a pretty good job slugging it out, both sides of our team. I mean, we could have converted more third downs on offense than we did if we catch the ball. And then defensively, we shut them out on third down, so I thought that was pretty good. And then, and of course, they're an extremely good team and very explosive. And we got loose a couple times, and we bottled them up a couple times. So.
Let's go to questions on the phone line. Go ahead, Steph.
Hey, Coach. Do you see any resemblance between this Oregon defense and Colorado's defense from last year, given that Jim Leavitt is now the Oregon defensive coordinator?
Schematically, yeah. Schematically, they're similar. Personnel, they're not loaded with seniors like Colorado was. But, yeah, I mean, Jim's not going to change his scheme much. I mean, he's been doing that for years, and it's a little bit. It'd be somewhat like all of a sudden me coaching offense somewhere, and we do zone right, zone left, play action. I mean, that's probably not going to happen, and he's not going to change his stuff very much either.
Right. So that said, do you guys watch that Colorado tape from last year this week at all then, just to get an idea of what he does too?
Yeah, a little bit, just because it was us specifically, but I get somewhat as far as us, but his scheme doesn't change a lot. And then of course this year's films are better for the personnel and who specifically is playing there at Oregon.
Okay, and you mentioned that you've seen Alex Grinch sort of grow each year that he's been the defensive coordinator. I guess where have you seen that growth? Like, what has he shown you now that maybe he didn't do a couple years ago in his first year?
Well, first off, I think everybody in coaching grows and everybody in coaching improves. If you're really any good, you get better all the time. And I'd like to think I'm improving. So I think everybody, that's what you're trying for. That's what you're striving for. I think, just some of the things. Well, one, he knows the personnel better. I mean, it's in the first year here with the personnel. He knows the personnel better. I think he's had the time to recruit players around what he wants to do defensively. And then the other thing is I'm sure some of his philosophies and ideas on the package that fits our team here the best is sharpened up, and I think that's a combination of all of it. A little more experience as a coordinator calling the plays, and then also more familiarity with the personnel and customizing the recruiting effort around it.
So if you were to put your finger on it, I guess, what do you think has made the biggest difference in just the efficiency of the pass rush this year? Is there something that you can kind of hone it down in?
Well, I think we're playing better on the D line. I think we have lower pads and we run our feet better this year. And I think, Jeff's done an extremely good job coaching those guys. And then I think that also a lot of those defensive guys played last year, even though they were young guys, and played sooner than maybe they should have. But, we still banked a season's worth of experience, and then I think they're able to draw on that. And so I think, there's a lot of factors that have helped it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions on the phone line for Coach?
All right. Well,
Okay, back in the room.
that's a short one. All right, here we go. Last one's gone.
Anybody else in the room?
Yeah, the success you guys have had the last couple years, the long winning streak last year and all that, does that help your team handle success this time around when they're, undefeated and just knocked off a top 5 team?
Maybe. I hope, I hope maybe so. I guess we'll see. But the biggest thing is this whole conference is, every team's, that's the thing that unique about this conference, and what arguably makes this conference the best one is every team's an eyelash from the other team. Everybody can get everybody, and so we got to be ready to go for anybody we play. And then the other thing is the only experience or game that you have in any given week is the one you're going to play. So you're best off getting the most out of that, as opposed to all the scenarios we're presented with everything else down the road. I mean, we only get one game. We only get to play one team, and we got to get better, and we got to play that team.
Coach, it seemed like you're in the zone calling plays against USC. Can you kind of compare it to like a pitcher in the first inning where you just kind of knows he's got the better stuff on the day? Is there a feeling that you get where you just kind of are in the zone?
I don't know. You get in a rhythm a little bit, and that's a lot of things going because you're on the headset, and then you get in a rhythm a little bit, but there's a certain amount of trying to get an idea what they're going to do and who's playing well for you and that type of thing. And then they always have something up their sleeve. It's not quite the episode of the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote that you guys would hope that it is. But they've got something. I mean, we got a play or two that's our best plays, and they're going to try to figure out ways to stop it. And then and there's going to be something they do best with their defense, and we're going to try to do our best with that. And then you kind of pick your way through and see how they're going to adjust. some games are different. I mean, USC's powerful enough. They kind of stuck with what they were going to do, and they ran a variety of defenses anyway. In our case, teams typically either plan to come after us or drop everybody, and and then they'll do one extreme or the other. And if that works, they'll stick with it. If that doesn't work, then they'll do the opposite. And then if that doesn't work, then they'll mix them back and forth to try to keep you off balance. So it goes.
And then what would you do to one of your players if they clotheslined like an opposing fan or like got physical with somebody? There was video of a USC player just kind of clotheslining a WSU student.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I'd have to get the facts, I suppose, I mean, I don't know what the facts of the situation are exactly.
And also, it's very possible that Oregon could have a true freshman starting his first game against you guys. Is there any difficulty preparing for someone that you don't really have much film on, or is it schematically going to be the same?
I think they'll probably try to do the same stuff, I mean, Oregon always tries to. They want to run the quarterback some. They'll throw it some kind of pop and play action passes, but they want to run with him. So I guess the biggest factor would be to figure out how well he runs. But they didn't. I mean, I haven't seen so much their offense and defense, but they scored a lot of points late in that game. So.
Is their tempo similar to what it was under the Elfridge Chip Kelly era?
They seem to be kind of quick. I didn't watch them on TV, and that's, the defense is a little more locked in on that, but they did seem kind of a tempo team. I think they are, and both teams are. And then the other thing is, it's funny because they always, Oregon through a couple coaches, don't have a lot of time of possession, and we lead the conference in time of possession. We're probably one of the national leaders, and it's a stat that I take virtually no pride in whatsoever. I mean, it's fun to have occasionally just so you can beat the ball control people over the head with it, but outside of just recreationally battering people with that in arguments and discussions, I really don't care about it at all. I would like to have the most plays, the most first downs, and the best third down conversions. And then, of course, you can shoot that argument full of holes because scoring's the most important thing. But, so anyway, but a lot of times, and I've had the least time of possession too, but a ton of plays. So, but a lot of teams are running tempo nowadays, so it unfolds in different ways, and they've had a lot of explosives on teams. So, sometimes they score faster than they can get a bunch of first downs and third down conversions.
You mentioned last week that Autzen is probably the loudest stadium in the Pac-12. Where does it stack up among some of the other venues you've coached in terms of crowd noise?
Let's see. Let me think. When I was in the Big 12 before the conference was reconfigured, there were definitely 3 and probably 4 stadiums that were louder. So I'm going to say, let's see, Oklahoma's louder, A&M's louder. Texas is on the bubble. Nebraska was definitely louder. In the SEC, LSU's louder. I never went to Alabama. We beat Alabama, but it was at Kentucky. Let me see. So LSU's louder, depending whether or not you add the cowbells. Mississippi State's comparable. Georgia's louder. Florida's louder. Definitely that one end zone at South Carolina's louder. Tennessee's louder. I never played Arkansas and Fayetteville. The loudest place I've ever played is like that 45,000 entirely concrete structure, and they got howitzers in there and everything else at Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas, that's the loudest place I ever played. Entirely concrete structure. It's as if you had a football game in the neighbor's basement and all the kids were yelling louder than hell. And you could tell when you were starting out, you clap your hands and you'd hear it 5 times and yell, go, 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 hit, 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 hit. Well, then after, and you figure there's 45,000, you multiply that times 5, that equals approximately 250,000. That's a lot of people, and there's no stadiums that hold 250,000 people. So 250,000 people are louder than 100,000 people. And so it was loud, and then if something good happened for Arkansas, and one excuse was as good as the next, they'd shoot off that howitzer, which would echo. It's probably still echoing from the last time they were there. I mean, they'd go on forever. So, yeah, that was loud. Yep.
You mentioned a few stats there. Are there any other weird stats you pay attention to other than time of possession, stuff like that?
It just depends what you're looking for. But as far as controlling the ball, I've always thought the most important ones are number of plays, first downs, third down conversions. I've always thought those are the most important. And then, and I think the clock has nothing to do with anything, really. I mean, because, there's, oh shoot, I had one game, I'm not going to tell you who we played, and we scored like 70 points in 20 minutes, and then and they had like I don't know, they had like 20 maybe or 10, and then it was like well, at least we won the time of possession. Then I look at it, we had 85 plays and they had like 50. So you're going to have to explain to your player over there that had to play 35 more plays than our guys did, well, at least you won the time of possession. Because, there's a difference between standing behind the center and tickling his butt and while the clock runs off and pretending that you're accomplishing something, because you're really not. I mean, you're just using the clock. And because plays are real. I mean, plays are something that somebody has to defend, something that somebody has to react to, and something where you're running all over the field. I mean, a play actually happens. A movement of the clock, I mean, that really doesn't equal much. It shortens a game. If you want to short a game, shortens a game. I mean, kind of like Mississippi State, they shortened the game the best they could.
Jamal Morrow said last week he's really excited.
Or not Mississippi, Montana State, sorry. Go ahead.
Jamal Morrow said last week he's really excited for the cheeseburgers they get on the plane when you guys go on the road. That was the thing he's most looking forward to about the road trip. Do you also eat those?
It varies. He's a little more excited about those than I am. Yeah. Yeah, some people like them. I'm not a big hamburger guy.
Is that like a common theme around the team is the cheeseburgers on the flights?
I think there must be a little more popular with Jamal than some. I mean, they're not necessarily objected to, and a lot of people eat them, and a lot of people are reasonably fired up about them, but it's also mixed, whether, and then everybody, of course, then the debate ensues who's got the best hamburger, and again, I'm not a big hamburger guy, so it's tough for me to really offer much to that discussion.
So you don't have a strong opinion on In-N-Out versus like Shake Shack and what's the other one, Five Guys?
Oh, Steak and Shake, you mean?
Well, Steak and Shake's another good one.
Are you an In-N-Out guy?
I think, let's see, maybe if you give me the 3 or so, I mean, there's a lot of hamburger places.
In-N-Out,
Five Guys,
and Shake Shack. Aren't those the 3 like?
Well, Shake Shack's super East Coast, but Steak and Shake.
I don't know what Shake Shack
Steak and
is.
Shake. We'll throw that in there.
The Habit.
Who?
Where's your favorite hamburger from?
Okay, so the 3, what your 3 were In-N-Out,
Five Guys.
Five Guys, which I've only had one time. And what was the Steak and Shake?
Yeah.
I guess I'd go In-N-Out, Steak and Shake, Five Guys. The French fries are tough to beat, really, at all of them. I think that's how I would go. But I have fairly limited expertise. Because you can get a T-shirt from In-N-Out for under $20, and that T-shirt, that T-shirt will survive nuclear war. It'll last forever. I still have them, and that thing, you can't wear them out. They're awesome. They're thick and they're solid, and so. But I guess I'd do it that way. But all three are pretty good, and to be perfectly honest, despite the fact I'm not a huge hamburger guy, I would give serious thought to In-N-Out and Steak and Shake, if they're there. And, like if I'm recruiting down in LA, I'll hit it at least once for sure,
Any other questions for Coach?
The student question of the week is, so the question is, did you enjoy your Friday Night Lights cameo? Which I'm assuming you did, but just how did that whole thing come about to be on the show?
Oh, well, we were going to Austin to play Texas, and Peter Berg contacted our office, Peter Berg's people, and Peter Berg was the director of Friday Night Lights. Contacted our office, asked if I'd be willing to do it, and we had to work out some schedule logistics, and then of course I was honored to do it, and then did it, and then Peter and I got to know each other from that, and have been friends ever since. It was kind of funny. So I go in the trailer, the makeup trailer, and one of the actresses is next to me. As they're doing makeup, they just try to make your face so it's not shiny. And then she says, "Oh, so who do you play?" I go, "Well, I play myself. They don't trust me to play anybody else." And they know I wouldn't know how to play anything else, so they have me playing myself. I go, "Who do you play?" And it's something like, to the name or whatever. And anyway, so it was fun, and had the scene with Kyle Chandler, who, as you fast forward, I watched on Bloodline.
Were you nervous about your acting skills?
No, not really, because my thought was they'd cut anything they didn't like, and then the other thought was if it was their idea to have me there, and so if I screw it up, then they made a bad decision. It's not like you got to gauge your talent a little better. I figured, so but I did the best I could. The other thing, it was very open. It was a very open. Hey, here's the situation, it's like this, and you just go say whatever you would say. So from that standpoint, it wasn't particularly hard, say whatever you would say, and then do whatever you would do. And then the funny thing is even now, every time that thing plays, I get a check for like $10, for doing the Friday Night Lights. So about 4 times a year, I get about $10, taxes deducted,
How many takes, sorry?
You guys-
How many takes did it take?
Well, it wasn't as much about takes, and I don't recall, but some of it was they were trying different things, like do this, okay, now do it this way, now do it this way, which were different approaches, which I guess in the end they were going to sort what they wanted to do. At one point in time, we got burritos for Kyle Chandler to be eating one of those frozen, the convenience store burritos, and then I would grab him out of his mouth and say, you've lost your inner pirate. So it's like he's sitting there eating all depressed over losing the game, and I'd just grab the burrito out of his mouth and drop it on the ground and start talking, you see, which we thought that was a hell of an idea at the time. and they didn't do it that way. But you know, after a while, there's about 6 burritos laying on the ground right beside the car. You know, as we've done different stuff, and I've grabbed burritos out of his mouth, and we, you know, of course, and there's about 6 burritos down there. Yeah.
You guys good?
All right. Well, thank you.
Did you meet Connie Britton, the mom with the grid hair?
You know, I think in passing I might have. I'm just trying to think. And then there were 2 guys that were former Big 12 refs, which that were kind of consultants on the thing, and you know, who are nice guys off the field. They're nice guys. I occasionally it crossed my mind maybe I ought to settle old scores with them, but you know, they're good guys. And then yeah, so we were at this convenience store on the edge of town, which I guess they used, and there were bugs all over, which was kind of cool because they're in the lights, you know, like in the lights there's all the bugs flying around, and yeah, so it was a tough wrap up to that season. And then and I can't remember her name, and I don't want to, you know, with all due respect to all the fine people that did it, there was a blonde girl next to me where we had the discussion of who I was playing, and then of course Peter's kind of interested in football. Then I went over there and watched him, you know, different phases of what he shot, you know, pre-production, production, post-production. So that was all very interesting. It's all very much like football too, as far as you got a whole room and you're organizing stuff and you're married to the projector and the rest. So, well, good to see you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.